The Haunting is another ghost movie long considered a classic, and one of the first movies that comes to mind when you think of movies about hauntings. You might also be familiar with the remake which came out in 1999, but of course I'm here to talk about the original. The movie is about a haunted house, obviously, called Hill House. The house just seemed to be fucked up from the start. This guy Crane built it for his wife, but she died just driving to the house. Then he remarried, and she died in the house after falling down some stairs, and then his daughter died while her companion, a sort of live-in nurse, was off doing whatever. Then the companion got the house and wound up hanging herself in the library. So there's quite a lot of history to this house, and the film gives you all this in a big info dump right at the start of the movie. The film then goes to the present, where this guy Dr. Markway is all into investigating paranormal activity, and he invites a bunch of people to show up and spend some time in the house, cataloging any sort of odd things that might happen. But only a handful show up, including the main character Eleanor, usually just called Nell, who is played by Julie Harris. There's also a psychic chick, and the current owner of the house, who had never even been there. He sees the house as merely an investment and wants to catalog his wealth. There's also the caretakers, who are really nutty and weird. There's really no reason why they're so strange, but for whatever reason they seem to have absolutely no social graces. Nell is also an odd bird. She's living with her sister and her sister's husband, and her situation seems to parallel that of the caretaker. Nell cared for her infirm mother for years until one day, for whatever reason, she just didn't show up when her mother called for her and her mother died. She seems really intent on getting to Hill House, and seems to have the odd idea that she's going to live there permanently, and seems to relish any sort of attention she gets. This is very clearly a damaged woman on many levels, but Dr. Markway allows her to stay, despite the fact that she's clearly not fit for the job, and already seems to have partially lost her mind. As you might imagine, the house is fairly creepy before anything paranormal even happens. Everything is at an odd angle and designed in a strange way. Paranormal stuff starts happening, such as the usual banging, moaning, crying, doors opening suddenly or slamming shut, or refusing to open, that sort of thing. There are also areas of the house that emit foul smells or odd chills or a sense of doom. What's interesting is that although it's obvious that there really are ghosts in this house, as Nell is not the only one to experience the phenomena, the film still plays with the idea that she's just crazy, and other characters even suggest that the phenomena they do experience are caused by her for attention. It seems the house is trying its hardest to kill Nell, something that is really never explained, as she's not related to any of its previous inhabitants. You'd think the house would just be after Theo, who currently owns it, but yeah, whatever. At the end, Nell is driven completely insane, and is finally asked to leave the house, but convinces everyone that she just has to stay. Dr. Markway's wife shows up, and she seems to really not believe in anything supernatural, so of course she disappears and very nearly gets killed. Nell eventually finally gets scared enough to leave, but has a car crash attempting to drive back to the house. Basically, she has paralleled all of the previous deaths. She died in a car crash just like the first wife. She very nearly fell down some stairs like the second wife, and her life in general is a lot like the caretaker. The plot, as you can tell, is really very thin. It's almost really non-existent, but what makes the movie interesting isn't so much what happens, but the way it happens. The Haunting is a movie that knows when to be creepy, and it knows when to be lighthearted, and it doesn't let one detract from the other. The characters all get a decent amount of screen time, and you get a good sense of who they are and what they're all about. They're not always getting along, and they're not always fighting with each other. Basically, instead of coming off as soulless archetypes, they come off as more as real people. This is what separates The Haunting from other movies of the type, as since you get to know the characters, you actually give a damn what happens to them. Overall, this is a good movie, but it's not what I would call great. It does have its issues. The character of Nell goes through her own development, but she walks into the movie with so much baggage, I think that her own backstory would have been far more interesting than the backstory of the house. The use of voiceovers for her thoughts also comes off as rather odd. Honestly, in the situations that it happens, it would have been better for her just to speak her thoughts out loud. I mean, she's crazy anyway, so who would question it? The sound in the film is very good. It uses a lot of low pitches and ambient tones to give you an uneasy feeling. Like I said, overall, a good film. It has its flaws, but it's worth seeing. I'm going to give it a 7 out of a possible 10.